So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I posted this video recently. Now here's the harsh reality that this video shows. No one is coming to save you. We need to accept the fact that we are our own first responders. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 4 skills that you need to have if you wish to protect yourself. Now, if we talk about this video in particular, notice how nobody steps in. There's one gentleman or a couple gentlemen that kind of scream at the guy, and I think that ultimately scares this aggressive man off because he kind of just walks away. But other than that, no one really steps in. And actually, if you look closely, you'll notice that when one of the guys screams and the aggressor kind of like turns towards him, the guy almost like hesitates and steps back. So he, even though he may have like barked, right, he wasn't really ready to get in on the action. And I think that's what people need to understand when we see videos like this, is that no one is really going to come in and save you. You're lucky if a bystander or a group of bystanders jump in to help you out in any sort of accident. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical altercation. It could be a car accident. Maybe you had a heart attack. Maybe you just faint or pass out. Whatever the case is, that still doesn't guarantee that, oh, something bad has happened to me, people are going to jump in and help out. That's just not the reality. Now, my goal with all of my content, other than obviously educating people about how to protect themselves and prepare themselves for violent altercations and events, is I want to encourage people to get out there and train. Now, one of the excuses I'm constantly hearing is, well, I don't need to train, I'll just call 911. Again, that's a great option, but police are not going to be there just by snapping your fingers. It's going to take time for them to get there. And until they get there, you, again, still need to be able to protect yourself. And sure, if other people jump in, that's great, but I can't count on anyone stepping in to help me out. And we see this all the time in different situations and videos where people are being attacked on the street, whether it's a domestic situation, whether it's a robbing, and everyone's just standing by on their phones, recording, taking pictures. Maybe some of them are shouting at the person or individuals involved to, back off and stop, but that's about as far as it goes. And I understand why a lot of people don't intervene. There's a lot of risks involved with intervening, and it's a scary chance that you're taking that maybe something bad is actually going to happen to me and I'm going to become a victim. So again, a lot of reasons. We can do a whole video on that. But nonetheless, 4 skills that you need to have if you want to be able to protect yourself. Number 1, you have to check your physical fitness. And you don't have to be in tip-top shape by any means. But I do have to be in somewhat decent shape, or at least I have to be honest with myself with what my physical limitations are. For instance, if I'm overweight and I can't move that fast, being able to just run away is not always going to be the easiest option. If I end up on my back and I'm a bigger person, it's going to be harder for me to get back to my feet. If I have an injury of some sort and I can't physically run away or really stand on my legs without the support of something, I'm definitely going to have trouble fighting back. So you have to acknowledge what your physical limitations are and then take the proper steps, whether it's carrying something, how you train, whatever, to ensure that you are protected in other ways. But physical fitness does go a long way in being able to protect yourself. If you're in a situation where you have to be able to run away quickly, and I mean like turn and just sprint out of there, then physical fitness is going to play a part. If I have to hold somebody down until police arrive, or because they're attacking someone and I just need to hold you down, that takes a lot of strength to hold somebody else down against their will, especially if they're a bigger person. If I need to push somebody off of me, that takes muscle. That takes a lot of strength to be able to push another human being off of you, especially if they're dead weight, especially if they're holding themselves down or pulling themselves into you. That's going to take a lot of effort to do. Cardio is another big one. People underestimate just how physically demanding it is to be in a fight, let alone like when you have guys that are training and we're doing like 5-minute rounds, 6-minute rounds, 10-minute rounds like that. Like we're in tip-top shape to do that. But when you, and again, that's like sport, but when you do like a 30-second round where your life depends on it and you're in the street and there are no second chances, if you get hit, like you're done, that's a different level of adrenaline. And those 30 seconds are going to feel like 10 minutes. They're going to feel like an hour. And if you're out of shape or not in the best of shape, that's going to be an extremely difficult thing that you're going to have to do physically. So overall, check your physical fitness, be honest with what your physical limitations are, and make the proper adjustments. And also understand at the end of the day, being strong and in shape has never hurt anyone when it comes to fighting. Now, the second thing that you want to be able to do if you wish to protect yourself is you need to carry some form of personal protection. And I understand a lot of people have opinions on what you should carry, whether or not you should be allowed to carry firearms. Again, It's going to be up to your discretion. Who cares what other people think? Do what you feel is best for you and your family to protect yourself. Understand, though, that you are going to have to make sure that you obey your local law, so be sure to look into that. But I highly recommend that you carry a firearm if possible. I highly recommend that you carry a blade, and I highly recommend that you carry some form of pepper spray. Like, if you can carry those 3 things, you're pretty well covered, because again, doesn't mean I'm going to need to use all of them, but it gives me 3 different options depending on what type of situation I fall into. I think pepper spray personally is one of the best items that you can carry, because it is a great way to get somebody off of you and to keep somebody off of you without getting too lethal or causing too much harm. Trust me, if you've ever been sprayed by pepper spray, it absolutely sucks. So it's definitely a good item to carry. Make sure you know how to use it, though. But again, if you want to carry a blade or a firearm, those are also great options if it comes to that type of situation. But again, you need to train, you need to know how to use it, and you need to be willing to use it. That's another thing. People will carry firearms and blades, but they're not necessarily willing to use it on another person because they don't want to hurt them, they don't want to take a life, and I get that. It's a big toll to take on. Then don't carry them, because if you're carrying those items on you in particular, they're for one sole reason, and that is to keep yourself and your loved ones safe and alive. So if you have to use them, you got to be prepared to use them. But I do think overall that carrying some form of personal protection does go a long way, because it can be the difference between you walking out of a situation alive or not. And if your physical fitness isn't up to check, and let's say you can't run away, then a personal protection device of some sort is a great way to keep that aggressor off of you. The third thing that we need to know how to do is obviously fight. And I think that's probably one of the biggest ones. If you know how to fight, there's a lot of benefits that come to it. One, you're naturally going to be in pretty decent shape. You're going to be less dependent on any sort of weapon, because if you're confident in your ability to strike, to grapple, then I'm going to be less reliant on my ability to utilize devices. And if I am utilizing a device and it fails, or I drop it, or I can't access it, then I'm able to resort to my fighting skills and still be able to protect myself. What is the best system to train? We could go on and on about that. I recommend that you take some form of striking class. Again, it's great to know how to throw strikes. It's great to know, honestly, what it feels like to take a strike in a safe environment. But you can learn how to utilize kicks properly. I can learn how to utilize punches, knees, elbows, all the sorts, because again, depending on the distance between you and your attacker and the circumstances, I'm going to need to understand how to utilize a variety of strikes. Now, I will say that I think grappling goes a lot farther than striking, because in striking, we have what is called the lucky punch, where even the most inexperienced person can knock out the most experienced person by simply just landing a good strike. You can't do that with grappling. If you're an experienced grappler, or you just have more grappling experience than the other person, then there's no way in hell that they are going to be able to beat you. If you are a more experienced grappler and you get your hands on somebody else, you are going to dominate that altercation, period. The other thing that fighting teaches you is just how dangerous it is to actually fight. And what happens in turn is you become a little bit more aware of what's going on around you, because you are actually trying to avoid fights as much as possible, because you realize that fighting outside of a gym or outside of a sanctioned fight is really stupid, and the risks are extremely high. Not only can you get hurt, you could get killed. Other people could get hurt or killed, so it's just not something you want to engage in. So the more that people fight, the less likely they are to actually engage in fighting outside of the gym. That being said, though, if push does come to shove and you have the skills to fight, well, then you should ideally be able to handle yourself just fine. Now, the last skill that I think everyone needs to have is at least some basic form of first aid. I need to be able to apply basic first aid to myself, to my loved ones. If something happens, I should ideally have a first aid kit on me in some way, shape, or form. I personally don't keep one on me, but all of my vehicles are loaded with first aid kits, and everything that I could possibly need are in all of my vehicles. I will say, however, that the one thing that I do keep on me regardless is a tourniquet. And I think that's something that everyone needs to have on their person, simply for the fact that shootings have become extremely, I hate to say the word popular, but you see them happening all the time and in public settings. So having a tourniquet is the equivalent of like having a Band-Aid in your pocket when you were a kid, right? It's just a good thing to have on you. I should know how to apply it on myself. I should know how to apply it on other people. That is something I will always keep on myself, especially if you're one that carries a firearm or anything along those lines. I should absolutely have a tourniquet on me, just for out of pure safety. So in summary, if you want to be able to protect yourself overall, I need to, 1, check my physical fitness. I need to have some level of fitness to be able to handle myself. I need to carry some form of personal protection. I need to know how to fight, period. And I need to know basic first aid skills. I think it's important that you all understand that we cannot depend on other people to jump in and help us out. I think it's unfortunate. You know, it'd be awesome if people were jumping in, but again, the risk sometimes is too high, so I don't blame people for not intervening. But that just makes it more the reason that you get out there, you train, you learn the proper skills so that you can keep yourself and your loved ones safe. So I hope you took something away from this video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below and some things that you do to keep yourself prepared to not only protect yourself, but protect your loved ones as well. So drop that down in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe.